Welcome to Money First CEO, the podcast for business owners ready to run their business like a boss and make their money work smarter, not harder. I'm Harman Johnston, bookkeeper, Profit First professional, business coach, and mum of two from Sydney, Australia. I've built a thriving business by mastering money habits and systems that create real freedom. This show will help you take control of your finances so you can build a business and life that truly works for you. Every episode delivers one powerful takeaway you can action right away for more clarity, confidence, and cash. And from time to time, I'll be joined by special guests, fellow entrepreneurs, experts, and real business owners, sharing their money wins, lessons, and insights to inspire your next move. Because when you put money first, you unlock the options and freedom you deserve. So hit follow, grab your coffee, and let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome back to the Money First CEO podcast, where we believe if you put your money first, the rest will follow. I'm your host, Harman, and today we're talking about something I've had to learn the hard way: letting go. Not in a meditate on a mountain kind of way, but in a very practical, stop trying to do everything yourself kind of way. Because here's the truth: as business owners, we get caught up in the excitement of learning new skills. We watch a YouTube tutorial and think, I can do that. We download a template and think, oh, that's close enough. We convince ourselves that doing it ourselves is the smart move because we're saving money. But are you actually saving money, or are you spending something far more valuable, your time? Time that could be spent on clients, on strategy, on growing the business, on the things that only you can do. Today I want to talk about why a Money First CEO builds a team of experts around them, why outsourcing is not an expense but an investment, and why the best thing you can do for your business is stop being the person who does everything and start being the person who leads everything. And I'm going to get personal on this one because I've made every mistake I'm about to describe. So let's get into it. The first part is the trap of doing it all yourself. So let me start with something most business owners have heard 100 times. It's your business, you need to be across everything. And on the surface, that does sound right. You're the founder, you're the CEO, nobody knows your business the way you do. Nobody cares about it the way you do. So of course you should be across everything. But being across everything and doing everything are not the same thing. Being across everything means you understand the big picture. You know what's happening in each area of the business. You're guiding the direction. You're making the decisions. But doing everything means you're the one writing the copy, designing the graphics, building the website, running the ads, doing the books, replying to every email, posting on social media, and then somehow also finding time to actually deliver the work your clients are paying you for. And at what cost? I'll tell you: burnout. Average results across the board. Things taking 3 times longer than they should. And the business is growing slower because the bottleneck is you. I've lived this for a long time. I told myself it was because I cared, because nobody would do it the way I would, because it was my business and my name on it. But the reality is I was scared to let go. I was scared that someone else wouldn't do it properly. And I was telling myself that saving money was the responsible thing to do. And here's what I've learned. Saving money by doing it yourself is the only saving money if the result is the same quality and it doesn't cost you time that could be spent on higher value work. So let me break that down. If your hourly value in the business, the money you generate per hour, when you're doing client work or business development, it's $200 an hour, and you spend 5 hours doing something that an expert would do in 2 hours for $300, you haven't saved money. You've lost it. You've spent $1,000 worth of your time to save $300, and the result is probably not as good as what the expert would have delivered. And that's the maths most business owners never do. They look at the invoice from the expert and think, that's expensive, I could have done it myself. But they never calculate the cost of their own time, and they never factor in the quality gap. Time is money. We all say it, but very few of us actually act on it. As a Money First CEO, we don't do everything. A Money First CEO leads and guides. They hold the bigger picture, they set the vision, and they bring it in the right people to execute that vision to a standard they couldn't achieve on their own. And that's not lazy, that's leadership. So the second part is what I tried to do myself and why I stopped. So let me get personal here because I think it's important to show you that I'm not just preaching it, but I've actually lived it. When I was building Blue, I tried to do so much myself, and every time I thought I was being smart, saving money, staying in control. But looking back, I was just slowing myself down and getting average results. So let me give you a few examples. Copywriting. I needed lead magnets, ad copy, website copy, so I thought I'll just do it myself. I spent hours in Claude writing, rewriting, and honestly, what came out looked okay. I thought it was decent enough. I published it and moved on. But decent enough is not good enough. When your copy is the first thing a potential client sees, my conversion was low, people were landing on the page and leaving. The lead magnet wasn't pulling people in. The ads weren't performing. And here's the thing, I didn't have confidence in what I'd written because deep down I knew I wasn't a copywriter. I was a bookkeeper pretending to be a copywriter, and the results reflected that. But I engaged a professional copywriter. Shout out to Claire. Someone who does this for a living, and the difference was immediate. The messaging was sharper, the words hit differently, the conversion rate went up, and I got hours of my life back. Was it an expense? Sure. But did it pay for itself? Absolutely. Because every new lead that converts is revenue, and the copywriter's work brought in more leads than my version ever did. Then there was branding. I tried to piece together my own brand for a while. Picked some colours I liked, chose a font that looked professional, made templates in Canva, and it was fine, it worked. But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel cohesive. Every time I created something, I was making design decisions I wasn't qualified to make. And everything looked slightly different. My social post didn't match my website, my lead magnet didn't match my emails, there was no consistency. I brought in a branding expert. They created proper brand guidelines, fonts, colours, templates, a visual identity that was consistent and professional. And now when I create content, I don't have to think about design decisions. I just follow the guidelines. Copy, paste, done. And that saved me time on every single piece of content I've created since. And more importantly, the business looks like a business, not a DIY project. And then there were ads. We tried running our own Facebook ads, boosted a few posts, set up a campaign in Ads Manager, spent money, got some clicks, but I had no idea if the targeting was right. No idea if the creative was working, no idea what my cost per lead should be. I was guessing, and guessing with ad spend can be expensive. So I brought in an ads expert, someone who manages campaigns every day. They restructured the targeting, helped test different creatives, and within a few weeks, the results improved significantly. My cost per lead dropped and the quality of leads went up. So could I have eventually figured all of that myself? Maybe, after months of trial and error and wasted ad spend. But why would I? That's not my zone of genius. My zone is bookkeeping, cash flow, profit first, and helping business owners get their money sorted. That's where I add value, not in ads management. And most recently, 6 months ago, email marketing. I knew I needed funnels. Welcome sequences, nurture emails, all the stuff that turns a lead into a client over time. But setting up the automations, writing the sequences, connecting the tech, it's a whole skill set. So I brought in an email marketing expert. They built the funnels, wrote the sequences, set up the automations, and now the system runs in the background, nurturing leads while I focus on serving my clients. Every single one of these decisions felt like a big spend at the time, but every single one of them paid for itself. In time saved, in better results, in freeing me up to do the work that actually grows the business. And here's what shifted for me when I stopped trying to do everything. I stopped being the person in the business who does all those things, and I started being the person who leads the business. I set the vision, I communicate what I need, and I have a team of experts who bring that vision to life better than I do on my own. And that's what a Money First CEO looks like. Not someone who does it all, but someone who leads it all. Now, I'm going to talk about the bookkeeping example because I think it's the perfect example of this whole conversation. So many business owners do their own bookkeeping when they're starting out. And honestly, I think that's great. When you're early in the business and transactions are simple, doing your own books in Xero or any other accounting software teaches you a lot. You learn about sales, expenses, tax, cash flow. You start to understand how money moves through the business. And it's a really good introduction to the financial side of running a business. And I'd never tell someone in their first year to outsource it before they've had a chance to understand it themselves. So here's where it changes though. As business grows, the complexity grows with it. Suddenly, it's not just invoicing clients and paying a few bills. Now there's wages, super, at 12% ordinary time earnings, paid on time, single touch payroll, GST, TPAR reporting if you're using contractors, maybe fringe benefits, maybe multiple entities. And the rules keep changing. The ATO updates things regularly. Thresholds change, awards rates change, reporting requirements change. What was straightforward when you started is now a compliance minefield. And that's when business owners start making mistakes. Not because they're careless, but because they're trying to do something that has genuinely become complex while also running a business, managing a team, serving clients, and everything else that goes with it. The bookkeeping they used to take an hour a week is now taking 3 to 4 hours and is still quite not right. Transactions are miscoded, BAS isn't reconciling properly, super deadlines are being missed, and the stress of it is building. And that's the point where you need a bookkeeper. Not because you failed, because your business has outgrown doing it yourself. And that's a good thing. It means you're growing. And here's what a good bookkeeper actually gives you. It's not just someone entering data. It's far from it these days. It's someone who makes sure your compliance is handled, making sure your BAS is lodged correctly and on time, making sure super is calculated at 12% and paid by the deadlines, making sure your STP reporting is clean, making sure you're not accidentally underpaying or overpaying anyone. A good bookkeeper gives you clean numbers you can trust, numbers you can use to make decisions, numbers that tell you what's actually happening in your business. And most importantly, a good bookkeeper gives you back your time. Those 3 or 4 hours a week you're spending on your books, that's 15 hours a month. And that's 15 hours you could spend on clients, sales, strategy, on the things you're actually passionate about and good at. So why do so many business owners resist it? Because they see bookkeeping as an expense. When you look at the monthly fee, it feels like money going out for something you could technically do it yourself. So it feels like a luxury. But I don't see it that way. I see bookkeeping as an investment in your business, in your time, and in your peace of mind. Because when your books are handled by a professional, you're not worrying about whether BAS is right, you're not stressed about super deadlines, you're not spending your Sunday nights in zero trying to figure out why the bank doesn't match. You're free to focus on what you do best, free to grow the business, free to actually enjoy running it. And the return on that investment, it's not just financial, it's emotional. It's the difference between carrying that compliance weight on your shoulders and knowing someone competent has it handled. I see this transformation with every client who comes to us at Blue. They come in stressed, behind on their books, unsure if things are right, and within a few weeks of us taking over, you can see the relief. They're sleeping better, they're making better decisions, they're actually enjoying their business again. And that's not an expense. That's one of the best investments you'll ever make. So how to think about outsourcing as a CEO? Let's bring this all together because I don't just want you to outsource for the sake of it. I want you to think about it strategically. Here's how a Money First CEO approaches outsourcing. First, you work out what only you can do. What tasks in your business genuinely require you? Client delivery in most cases, relationship building, sales conversations, strategic decisions, vision setting. These are the things that move the needle and they can't be done by anyone else. Second, you look at everything else and ask, is there someone who can do this better and faster than me? Not just cheaper, better and faster. Because when the quality goes up and time goes down, that's where the real return is. Third, you work out whether the numbers support it. And this is the profit first piece. You don't outsource from hope, you outsource from margin. You look at your allocations, your operating expenses, profit, and you make a decision based on real numbers. Fourth, you start small. You don't need to outsource everything at once. Pick the one that's taking up the most amount of time for the least return. Start there, get the result, and move to the next thing. And fifth, you let go of the idea that being a good business owner means doing everything yourself. It doesn't. Being a good business owner means building a team around you, even if that team is made up of contractors and specialists rather than employees. I think about how my business runs now versus 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was doing the books, the marketing, the copy, the ads, the admin, the client work, and I was exhausted. And honestly, most of it was average because I was spreading myself too thin. Now, I've got a copywriter handling my messaging, a branding expert who's built the visual identity, an ad specialist managing campaigns, an email marketing expert running the funnels, a senior BAS agent to assist with technical queries and compliance. My job is to lead, to set the direction, to communicate the vision, and to focus on the things that only I can do, serving my clients and growing the business. The business is better for it. The results are better, and I'm happier because I'm not drowning in tasks I'm not good at. I'm operating in my zone and letting experts operate in theirs. And that's what a Money First CEO looks like. Not someone who does everything, but someone who leads everything. So as business owners, we're told we need to be across everything, and we do. But being across everything and doing everything are not the same thing. Doing everything yourself feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels like you're saving money. But most of the time, it's costing you more than you realize. In time, in quality, in stress, and in opportunities you're missing because you're too busy doing work that someone else could do better. A Money First CEO builds a team of experts: a copywriter who gets the messaging right, a branding expert who makes the business look professional, an ads expert who makes your marketing work, an email expert who builds a system, and a bookkeeper who keeps your compliance sorted and your numbers clean so you can focus on what matters most. And these aren't expenses, they are investments in your business, in your time, in your freedom. I'd rather lead and guide and hold a bigger picture than be stuck in the weeds doing the work that isn't my strength. And I want that for you too. Because the goal was never to do everything yourself. The goal was to build a business that gives you freedom. And freedom starts with letting go of the things that don't need to be you. So your one takeaway this week: write down the 3 tasks that take up the most amount of time but aren't directly generating revenue or serving clients. Then ask yourself honestly, is there someone who could do these better and faster than me? If the answer is yes, then that's where your next investment should go. That's it for today's episode. Keep putting your money first and the rest will follow. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for hanging out with me on Money First CEO. If you got value from this episode, hit subscribe, drop a 5-star review, and share it with someone who's building their business too. All the goodies are in the show notes, and you can find me on socials for more tips and tools to help you. Until next time, keep putting money first and the rest will follow.